Hey, Waffle Gang, I too hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more r/mad butthole. And if you love a Reddit story, want to consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's jump straight in to today's first story. Much love, guys. Now, today's first story comes from Checking Out 2022, who asks, am I the arsehole for giving my mother-in-law a fake copy of my house key and exposing her on Christmas dinner? I want to preface this by saying that I, female 34, married my husband, male 37, a year ago. His mom is snooty and annoying as fuck. She can't help it, that is just how she is, as my dear-in-law say. My husband and I purchased a new house recently. My mother-in-law kept pushing to get an emergency key. She promised that she would only use it in an emergency, but given the fact that she had an emergency key to our old apartment and walked in on us being intimate twice, but my husband didn't think it was a big deal, I just couldn't trust her, so I sent her a fake key. After she kept pushing, and she had a smug look on her face after I hand-delivered it to her. Days gone by, and on Christmas dinner, mother-in-law angrily called me out on the fact that I gave her a fake copy of the house key. She shamed me for doing this in front of everyone, but in my defense, I asked her how she found out, and she said days ago when she came over at 4 while my husband and me were out. I reminded her, didn't you promise you wouldn't use it unless there's an emergency? So you tried to get in when there was no emergency, and you broke this promise you made to us. She looked red in the face, and the other family started staring, and some even laughed at her for the face she made. She suddenly got up from her seat and rushed into the kitchen, where she had a huge meltdown, so loud the next door neighbors must have heard. Literally, I'd never heard a 60-plus-year-old woman throw a tantrum like that. Needless to say, dinner went awkward and my husband and his sister were giving me looks. My husband went off on me in the car and said I lied and manipulated and humiliated and exposed his mum, and said he wouldn't have let me get away with it had he known. We had an argument, and he is demanding I apologize to his mom for my childish behavior and for ruining Christmas dinner for the whole family. Am I the arsehole? Then an edit goes on to say, so this went off unexpectedly, and I thought I'd show my husband some pretty helpful comments I found here minutes ago, but he got mad at me when he saw it and said I was nuts to talk about his family online. He demanded my phone so he could delete it, but I refused, and I went upstairs and into the bedroom. I never seen him so agitated, and I didn't think he'd react like that, honestly. But thank you guys for your support, it really means so much. I'll update if I can. Thanks again. Now, it's absolutely not the arsehole for me in this one. I mean, I think we had a similar one with a key just recently, actually, and you've basically just called mother-in-law out on our bullshit. I think the bigger problem here is to do with your husband, and he thinks, this behavior is okay and it's acceptable behavior, and that you owe mother-in-law an apology on this, which seems insane to me. But as usual, we're going to cover a couple of the comments before we move on to the next story. And we'll start off with you're the arsehole. It says, not the arsehole. I'd rethink my marriage if my husband puts his mother over me. Cake-eating rabbits is not the arsehole, but your husband seems to have no problem with you being humiliated and shamed in front of people. He seems to have no regards to your needs of privacy and dignity. And Not Average replies that saying, yeah, he seemed to be completely ignoring the fact that his mother was trying to humiliate OP in front of everyone first. Honestly, his mother wouldn't even have been exposed in front of the family at Christmas if his mother had brought up issues with a key to OP privately and not at dinner. Maskydoo says not the arsehole. 1, you never owed her a key. 2, she proved she isn't trustworthy. 3, she's the one who decided to bring it up in front of other people. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. 4, who is childish? A kid, 1/10 of her age, would have been embarrassed for intentions like that. 5, your husband is an arsehole for not 100% having your back. He should never allow his family to cause a single problem for you, and definitely shouldn't expect you to be a doormat to his just no mom. Do not apologize. Demand an apology from mother-in-law and this useless husband of yours. I recommend this sub, just no mother-in-law by the way. You can find relatable stories and helpful info there. And Vinny Capistrano says, not the arsehole, you did expose his mom, and rightfully so. She needed to be exposed. Your husband is out of his mind for enabling and encouraging his mom's demented behavior. Mother-in-law and husband are major assholes. And one more from More on a Mission 1 who says, he wouldn't let you get away with it. I don't say this often, but that's a huge red flag. You need to ask him what he means by that. He doesn't own or control you, and it sounds like she needs to be shown that she doesn't control you or your home. She can't just show up whenever she wants, and the fact that a grown man walked into that very obvious trap means she doesn't consider you a real person. And the fact that a grown woman walked into that very obvious trap means she doesn't consider you a real person, but the equivalent of a maid that she can boss around. Not the arsehole. Now, what do you guys make of this one? As I said, it's a very similar story, but it seems like OP got the upper hand on this one. How do you think it's going to go in the future now, husband still backing mum in this situation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll move on to another story. And our next story does come with like a little update as well, and it's from Fig2374, who says, "Am I the arsehole for forcing my son to wait to marry his then high school girlfriend? I, female 50s, have 2 sons, Dan, male 22, and Sam, male 27. Dan started dating Fran in their junior year. Towards the end of senior year, Dan came to me and said he wanted to marry Fran. At the time, Dan had multiple college options, which he was going to decline to stay in our town and marry Fran. I obviously didn't support this. I wanted my son to go to college and knew he wanted that too, as he'd always been ambitious. I told my son that he had his whole life ahead of him and he could get married later, but didn't need to rush it. I told him that if he went to college and waited even just a year or two, I'd pay for his tuition. At the time, I didn't know how serious their relationship was, as they'd been together for a little over a year, and was scared it wouldn't work out and he'd waste this opportunity. My son happily accepted this offer and agreed with me that it would be best to wait. This year, my son graduated college but maintained a long-distance relationship with Fran, and they announced their engagement a couple of months ago. We were all ecstatic about it. Sometime between then and now, my son told Fran that I was the reason he waited until now to propose. I wasn't aware until Christmas when, during dinner, Fran said she wanted to say something. She began saying I paid my son to not marry her and actively trying to ruin their relationship. She then said she was blessed that evil hadn't won and couldn't wait to have a long and happy marriage. Everyone was silent and didn't really know what to say. My son approached me later to apologize and said she had twisted his words, but it's been constantly weighing on my mind as friends and family present all have different opinions. Edits, if my son had married Fran out of high school, he wouldn't have gone to college. My son chose to go to the school so far away, there were closer options, but he liked the school he chose. I will be showing Dan this thread and update if he responds. Fran currently works at her mother's bakery. She wants to be a stay-at-home mom once they get married and was waiting for Dan to come back home. And as I said, there is like a mini update on this, which we'll cover after the comments. But we're going to start straight away with Type 1 Error, who says, "Not the asshole. Your future daughter-in-law showed to the entire family that you were correct and that your son was wise to delay the marriage." Goatgirl's Grace replies that saying, "By evil, did Fran mean stopping her from getting pregnant at 18 and raising a baby she's obviously not ready for?" OP was correct. Fran was definitely not ready to get married at 18 and probably isn't now. OP's son should rethink marrying her now or ever. Fran's treating her partner's mom like an obstacle to their love story, even though she's just looking out for them. Calling her mother-in-law evil might be the precursor to a very strained, potentially toxic mother-in-law/daughter-in-law relationship. Owen says, "Not the asshole, and your son should seriously rethink this relationship. Fran doesn't sound very nice." Sour Lemon says, "Not the asshole. What Fran did was extremely inappropriate and a huge red flag. If I were your son, I'd be very cautious now with marrying her. What you did was the right thing. We've all been there at 18 and in love and willing to give up our whole futures for the one. But statistically, those relationships never work out, and 18-year-olds tend to have a very naive view of the world. You simply wanted what's best for your son, which is to continue on to college and be set up with the best future ahead for his life. You didn't ask him to break up with Fran, and if she truly loved him and cared for him, she would understand why this was the right thing to do. Not only did she twist your wanting the best for your son as evil, she's also pitted herself against you as someone who does not support the relationship, which is not true. If they continue with a relationship, I can see Fran causing a lot more drama between your son and his family." Old Poet says, "Not the arsehole. You only wanted what was best to your son, and given how Fran is acting with a few more years of maturity, I can't fault you for having reservations about him rushing into marriage with her. It honestly sounds like she thrives on dramatics and uses her hyperbolic language suggests to me that her assessment that she's going to have a long and happy marriage is a little presumptuous." OP replies that saying, "I am a single parent, so it felt like a personal attack towards me, but also due to the fact that a reason why I wanted my son to wait was because I didn't know if they'd last. I was quite shocked as she never acted like this before, as she is usually quite tame, if that's the right word. She has always been non-confrontational, so it was a surprise to us all, including my son." And one more with a reply from OP who says, "Kinshwama says, not the arsehole. The fact that your son didn't clear the air when she announced, that shows what your future will be like with your daughter-in-law. You are now going to be known as the evil mother-in-law, and your grandchildren will most likely know you for that too. You advised him to go on a certain path so he could ensure his future is set with his partner. You didn't tell him to separate with her. I don't see a part anywhere where you're actively trying to ruin their relationship unless you omitted something where you attempted to have them separate while they were long distance. You need to ensure your son clears this up ASAP or get ready to be the evil mother-in-law. OP replies saying, yes, over the past few days I've spoken to my son, and he's been talking to everyone to clear this up, and I know this is not how he feels. He was not aware she was harboring these feelings for me, or that she was going to make the speech. We were all in shock and it happened so quickly, nobody had time to react. My son chose the school he wanted to attend, which happened to be a couple of states over. Now we're going to move on to the little update to see what that says. Update. Dan and Fran have talked and cleared the air around the situation. Fran feels awful about what she said and realized she should have come talk to me privately. This situation, however, has brought up other issues between the two in their future, as Dan expressed to Fran that he would like to go to law school. Fran wants them to start a life together and thinks it's unfair for Dan to make them wait for 4+ years. Dan is currently home and will be dealing with this together. Thank you for all the advice. Dan has read this thread and is now feeling unsure about their relationship. Now, how do you feel about this one? What would you advise Dan if you was in this situation? Perhaps you think mother-in-law shouldn't have given that advice. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and we'll move on to another story. And our next story comes from IdealMind3099, who asks, I'm Ivy arsehole for telling my new co-worker it was misleading of him to be wearing his wedding band when he's a widower. Hi. A couple of weeks ago, we had a new employee hired at the company. He's a good guy and a widower named James, 36, and to my knowledge, his late wife passed away 8 months ago. Me, female 32, and the other co-workers go along well with him. However, I noticed that he is still wearing his wedding band on his finger. It kind of confused me a bit, and I couldn't help but bring it up with him while on a lunch break. We talked and I pointed out that he was being misleading by still wearing his wedding band when he's a widower. He looked quite bothered by what I said, but I tried to explain that I think that he was giving people the wrong idea or impression about his relationship status, since he's technically single and on his own right now. Don't want to sound cruel, but I'm speaking from a technical angle. James said that he didn't give it much thought, meaning he don't care what people think. And that even if he wasn't wearing his wedding band and some woman approached him, he'd still turn him down since he's obviously not interested. For some reason, things got awkward and everyone stopped eating and just stared at James and me. I told him I don't know, but that really felt generally misleading of him, as in making people think he was in a relationship, married, when he is not, regardless of how he felt being in a relationship. He got upset, called me rude, and said that I repeatedly disrespected his marriage and his late wife's memory with what I said, and took his stuff and walked away. My coworker said regardless of his right or wrong, though some said he overreacted, there was no reason for me to bring this up in the first place and cause a scene and make James upset with us like that. Now he's not speaking to me and others who sided with me. Am I the asshole? Did I overstep or did he overreact? This was just a conversation we were casually having with other co-workers, and I didn't use any insensitive tones or anything, but we had a discussion, and it suddenly turned into an argument. I tried to let things calm down, but the situation got out of my hands unexpectedly. Oh, wow. Of course you're going to be the asshole in this situation. Why would you think that would be appropriate to even put your nose into his business, whether he's wearing a wedding band or not, for his wife who passed away 8 months ago? Now, I always try to put myself in people's shoes when we read these stories. I'm trying to put myself in of OB's shoes and asking these questions. And how can you think that's an appropriate thing to do? It hurts my head to think about it. A man who's there mourning his wife and you're complaining that he's still wearing his wedding band because it's given off the wrong signals. I'm blown away by that one. How you could come here and ask that question. Yes, you're going to be the asshole. But JD Wazoo61 says you're the asshole. A wedding ring isn't a sign to others that you aren't available. It's a commitment to a person you love. His wife might be dead, but if he's not ready to move on, then he's still committed to her. Your confusion about his status isn't his concern. Loki replies that was saying this right here. OP, if you are reading this, you are one callous asshole. It is not up to you to determine how long is acceptable for someone else to grieve or to police what they wear. Jewelry, clothing, or otherwise. How dare you? Seriously, humongous, cold-hearted, unfeeling, socially inept asshole. Then Good Girls Grace replies to that one saying, OP is such a cold-hearted asshole. A wedding band isn't legal papers. It's not supposed to represent his technical, legal relationship status. It's a token of love and dedication to the person he married. He's not wearing it to let others know he's available. He's wearing it for her memory and to show he's still committed to her, to his wife, who died recently and who he's still grieving. OP massively overstepped James's boundaries. He can wear his wedding band anytime, anywhere, and for whatever reason. It still wouldn't be OP's business. Her telling him is super rude and inappropriate. It seems like she's interested in the co-worker. Back down, OP. He's not interested in you. And even if he was, any attraction he had would be wiped out by your overstepping his boundaries. Early Light 864 says you're the arsehole and quotes, I couldn't help but bring it up, and then says yes you could. Just stop talking. Help it next time. Then quotes again saying, for some reason things got awkward, and then says, the reason is that you're an arsehole and he doesn't want to speak to you again. Padlock says, you're the arsehole and you most certainly overstepped. His wife only passed 8 months ago. It's no surprise that he's still wearing his wedding band. He's not misleading anyone, and it doesn't matter what people assume when they see the ring. What matters is that he still wants to wear it. How he feels about it is the only thing that matters. And one more from Pat James 904 who says, you're the arsehole. Oh my god, you're the arsehole. He is still in a relationship. He still feels He still feels married. He's only been a widower for 8 months. He does not owe anyone information about whether he is single or otherwise. The point is that he is not available. For being 32 years old, you haven't learned a lot, have you? Just be quiet. You don't know what you are talking about. I am embarrassed for you. Now, what do you guys make of this one? It has to be a you're the arsehole, surely. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll move on to another story. And our next three come from Throwaway Turkey, who says, am I the arsehole for making my boyfriend eat meat at my family gathering, even though he's vegetarian? Should we answer this one now, or let's read on first. My boyfriend 24 and I 28 have been together for 2 years. Yesterday we were visiting my family because we won't be able to be with them on Christmas, so we wanted to drop off some presents. It was also the first time that my boyfriend met my entire family, so it was kinda important. Here's the thing, I forgot to tell them that my boyfriend is vegetarian, so my mom made a turkey and there wasn't really anything else to eat besides some snacks. When I realized that, I quietly asked my boyfriend to please not cause a scene, and just eat the food and compliment my mom on it. He tried to argue back, saying that he doesn't want to lie to my mom, but I told him he would come across as rude if he didn't at least try it, and I didn't want him to make a bad impression. So he sucked it up, ate an entire plate, and told my mom that it was delicious, which obviously made her happy. We had a good evening, and everyone seemed to like him. But when we drove back home, he brought it up again and said he thinks it was kind of fucked up of me to expect him to eat meat, when I know how much it disgusts him. I get his point and apologize to him, but I still don't think that it's that bad to eat a better turkey once, to not make a weird first impression on my family. Am I the arsehole? Edit. A few people are asking me why there was nothing else that he could have eaten, and like I said, there were of course some other snacks and a couple of different sauces, but nothing that would have been considered a decent meal without the turkey. So, because of your mess up in the very beginning that you didn't tell your mum about your boyfriend being a vegetarian, you asked him to lie to your mum, asked him to eat meat against his wishes, and then still double down and bash his choices by saying, you know, you don't think it's that bad to eat a bit of turkey once, to not make a weird first impression on your family, something that you caused in the first place. Of course you're going to be the asshole in this situation. And it's one of these stories that I would love to hear the other side of it from the boyfriend. But SK111W says, you're the asshole. Respecting your boyfriend's feelings, beliefs, and personal decisions should be more important than avoiding a slightly awkward situation, especially one that would have been your fault for not mentioning he was vegetarian in the first place. PDX Flowpower says, you're the asshole. People who practice a vegetarian diet often stop producing the enzymes to digest meat. You care more about impressing your family than you do about his ability to eat the food in front of him. It's pretty effed up to expect him to eat meat. Many people choose to be vegetarian because of their religious practices and spiritual convictions. You ignored his needs, so yes, you're the asshole. Edited to add, everyone discussing the subject regarding gut bacteria is correct. I'm glad that people are chiming in with better info. Ping Pong Professor says you're the asshole for even asking, let alone bullying him into actually doing it. I'm surprised that he A, went along with it, and B, hasn't dumped your sorry ass already. How'd you forget to tell your family that someone you've been with for 2 years doesn't eat meat? Forget my ass. You don't agree with his vegetarianism, and you intentionally didn't tell them. Jacqueline says, you're the asshole. Being a vegetarian isn't weird, so telling your family is vegetarian wouldn't have been a weird impression. Especially if you had done it in advance, as you should have. You owe both your boyfriend and your mom an apology. Him for asking to eat meat when he doesn't, and her for not telling her so she could properly accommodate her guest. And SpanDG says, you're the asshole. What the hell is wrong with you? I'm actually surprised he is still dating you. What you did is an incredible red flag. And I sort of wonder what's going to happen with the future of this couple as well. constantly going to be expected to eat meat, or is she going to reveal it one day, oh no, he's actually vegetarian? Then they're going to go back to this moment and say, so why did he eat meat this day? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on this one in the comments below, and we'll move on to another story. And our next story comes from FreshAd9433, who says, am I the asshole for ruining my husband's Christmas? My female 29 husband, male 33, is the breadwinner, and I'm a stay-at-home mom. We used to both work, but due to medical problems, I couldn't keep working. As a result, I don't have what they call fun money or money to spend however I want. My husband gives me money only to spend on the house or the kids, but that's that. I might borrow money here and there to try to figure something out if I needed essential stuff like hygiene products. The hell? This Christmas, my husband gave me $600 as my Christmas gift. I freaked out thinking I now have to get him a decent gift to match his. So I went shopping and got him the most affordable thing on his wish list, which was a $180 pair of sneakers with his favorite color. I didn't show him the gift until we visited his parents for Christmas, and when it was time for the gift opening, he opened the gift, saw the sneakers, and looked extremely upset, like he was about to blow up. I asked what's up, and he asked why in the blue hell I decided to waste money and get him sneakers, aka the cheapest gift on his wish list. I said it's all I could afford, and he literally lashed out and said, bullshit, I gave you $600. That's about the right price for a new gaming console, and it was right there at the top of my wish list. He said it in front of his parents. It was so awkward. I felt so horrible I wanted to disappear. But I apologized and said I was sorry, but I had other stuff I needed to buy, and money wasn't enough. He took it as in I was blaming him for not giving him enough money, and picked an argument with me about how wasteful and financially irresponsible I am. Otherwise, I wouldn't be struggling with money for long. I disagreed and said I don't have a salary due to medical issues and not being irresponsible. Also, told him he could get the gaming console himself since he has the money, but he got all dramatic and ranted about how he wouldn't because then he'll be judged for getting anything for himself. His parents tried to get involved, but he straight up told me how disappointed he was and said that I ruined his Christmas. They went upstairs and avoided talking to me till we went back and the whole argument restarted. He kept repeating that he was disappointed and that I ruined Christmas for him, saying, good job screwing up. Even after I pointed out how rude it was for him to react like that in front of his parents. He's wanting an apology at the moment and still upset about what I did. Am I the asshole? Edits, for the record, he used to own an Xbox, but it got broken like 3 years ago. And he didn't want to get himself a new one, saying there are more important things to focus on. I get why he was disappointed, but I argued with him about the kid's gift as well, since that matters too. Also, I bought gifts for family members, so I'm not sure if I was right to do that knowing money is tight. My mother-in-law got an expensive gift from him, and so did the rest of the family. Now, to me, from that very first paragraph, I gotta say it sounds like financial abuse to me. That, you don't get any extra money. Even for hygiene products, you had to borrow money here and there to try and figure something out if you needed them. Absolutely not. And it's winding me up even think about it. You're not the asshole in this whatsoever, but we're gonna move straight down to the comments to see what they say. Goki says, not the asshole, your husband is abusing you. This is literally financial abuse. You deserve money to spend on yourself. Doesn't matter if you don't make a salary. You still do work keeping house. Not only that, but yelling at you like that at all, but especially in front of people, is also abusive. Please look into getting disability or unemployment and get away from him. Exact Glove 5026 says absolutely not. I'm also the breadwinner for my family, and if I gave my SO money as a gift, that would be her money. If she didn't spend a penny on me, I wouldn't be upset because it was her money. I also tell my SO to pick up whatever she wants from me for Christmas and take it directly at the checking account, which she has full access to whenever she wants or needs it. You're 100% not the asshole in this situation, and I'm sorry you're going through that. Also, if $180 sneakers is wasteful spending, and a $600 game console is definitely not what I would consider a cheap, not wasteful gift. Ellie Reed the Bow says, not the arsehole, lady, your husband is financially and emotionally abusing you. So, you don't think we're all overreacting? Here's some information on financial and emotional abuse, and shares 2 links, which I will display here. In a normal relationship where one party is the stay-at-home parent, the other party's income is shared equally in the household and both parties are able to purchase what they need. Under no circumstances should you be left borrowing money for personal hygiene products and clothing. Please see if you can access a local woman support service to get yourself out of this situation. Financial and emotional abuse can be a precursor to physical violence, but even if it isn't, you do not have to live this way. Good luck and stay safe. Evil Mel says, not the arsehole, your husband is financially abusing you. And quotes, I might borrow money here and there, or try to figure something out if I need a new piece of clothing or essential stuff like hygiene products. And then says he doesn't buy you things you need. What the fuck? I'm a stay-at-home mom and my husband gets me anything I need or want. He damn sure wouldn't expect me to use money gifted to me on him. Do not apologize, as you didn't do anything wrong. Your husband sure has. And Yuxi3888 says not the arsehole, so his gift to you was the ability to buy him the gift he wanted. You need to get out now. This sounds highly abusive. And there you go, and I think the comments pretty much summed up my thoughts better than I could have myself. And it's such a shame, you know, that, and as I always say, I know this happens all the time all over the world, but someone sitting there thinking, you know, this is an acceptable way to live for themselves, that they have to go and borrow money off family members or whoever to get basic hygiene products because their partner doesn't give them the money they need to get it. Madness, isn't it? Anyway, what do you guys make of this one? How would you deal with that situation? I hope OP does look at this post and takes a step back and realize, you know, they are worth way more than this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and all your thoughts on today's stories. If you choose to share them, I would love to hear them. I've been away the last couple of days. As you know, the videos have been sort of here and there, all over the place. But I went away with some family, and we went to see some shows and stuff like that, and it's been an absolute wonderful time. And I got my own little Am I the Arsehole story, which I will share in the coming days if you would like to hear it. It's huge thank you for spending your time with me today, getting involved in the channel, and Jinai just sticking with me throughout the whole year. It's been absolutely amazing of you. I'm ever so thankful for what you do, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.